Good morning, y'all. Isn't this a treat? This is the last day on the Proven Winners event, and I haven't shot a whole lot of video other than some behind the scenes things at the production facilities at Spring Meadow Nursery. And last evening we came out here and ate dinner at Dale's house, which is one of the Proven Winners founders here in Grand Haven. And I'm going to walk you around and show you some footage of the garden. I just finished taking a lot of drone footage, so I'll show a lot of that while I'm talking. But check out this hydrangea hedge here. These are all arborescens, and so you have very different varieties here. There's some Invincible lace in there. I'm not going to get too close because a lot of things in this garden are things that may be still being trialed or never made it to market. So we're going to take some general swaths and overviews of the garden, but it's really, really beautiful. It has this nice walking path through part of it. And I'm sure it takes a lot of care. It's right off the Grand River here. And it's actually really cool this morning. I don't know what the temperature is, but I almost need a jacket, which is crazy here in July. So I can imagine that's why some of these things still look so good. And contrary to my soil conditions, they grow in sand up here, most of them, because it's right next to the river and the Great Lakes. And so I'm not sure what the soil conditions right here at this home are. But just on Monday, we had dinner at the beach off Lake Michigan. And it's just been a really incredible experience, meeting a lot of other people from YouTube and Instagram. Some I've never met before, some I've never really talked to before. And just learning about their gardens and seeing where they're from and the experiences they have growing these same type plants that I'm growing in my garden all across the country has been really great. So let's take a little walk around the garden here early this morning. I'm excited about our last day here. We're going to Walter's Gardens, and they also have a display garden we're going to be looking at, so I'll shoot some footage there. I probably will not do any voice over work or anything, and I'm also going to include some photos at the end of things I've taken on the trip, because there's been a lot that I haven't actually shot a whole lot of video, but it's been a really interesting experience that I wanted to take you along and show you some of the interesting aspects of production and the fields and the trials and all of the plants at Spring Meadow that they have planted up, because it's a really beautiful nursery and their production facilities are top-notch. So myself, I love all of the incredible hydrangeas they have here. The paniculatas are surprisingly, and some of these varieties are different, and some of them have tags, some of them don't. Some of them are really further ahead than my own garden, and it may just be the variety. And some of them are, a little behind than mine at home. And once again, probably related to the variety. Some of them have really strong stems. Some of them are kind of floppy. And for those of you interested, we did ask Dale. This is Fairy Trail Bride here in Michigan. And he said, I think this is a grouping of 5. And he said it was looking better about a couple weeks ago. Right now it started growing back out and new growth coming through it. But look at all these blooms. Now the one at my house, I've replaced twice. Or I've replaced it once, I guess. The first one did not make it. I planted it out late October. And winter was pretty bad, so that's probably on me. The new one that I was trialing, I've also moved 2 times since I planted it, so I'm going to get it somewhere in the garden, and hopefully it will do a little better and get better established, and then we'll have maybe some more success. So I'm not going to count it out yet, and I think I mentioned that in a few videos ago, but it's really beautiful here, and I can't believe how well it is thriving in these conditions. I really like the mixture of plantings here. I plant pretty closely, so this is mostly shrub planting, which is a lot of things that I like to do too. More shrubs, less perennials, because the care tends to be easier. There's no cutback. They tend to look better all season. And it's one reason I'm so interested in Proven Winners Color Choice Shrub Division, because they have such great things that are small and can fit in the average suburban garden. And they also have things that will get really large, but they bred a lot of those big things down to small type plants that can fit in your garden, anybody's garden. Even, hydrangeas that were once limelights, they get 10 to 12 foot tall and wide. And now you have like tiny quickfire, which is 1.5 to 2.5 foot tall. It's a very early blooming paniculata, and it is just wonderful. Mine in my own garden's already turning pink, which is incredible. To not even be just very little into summer, not fall yet, and it's already developing some of that blush. And also just in general seeing how different things perform. We have some smoke bushes up here. The one at my house stays really small. It's Winecraft Black and it's grown pretty slowly. And up here, the ones I've seen that look very similar to Winecraft Black or are Winecraft Black are also staying really small, but it's a really beautiful shrub that you can tuck into your garden to get this smoky effect, which my at home, the blooms are already bloomed out. This one looks like it bloomed a little later, or is right now prime in bloom, but you could see how smoky that looks up there. With those beautiful blooms that also do pretty interesting in arrangements. Now this part of the garden is really interesting because it's a nice leisurely walk under a lot of shade. We have these really huge established trees. We're going to take a walk to the other side of the home and the gardens where they're still trialing a lot of things. I'm not going to shoot a lot of footage in the actual trial space because there are a lot of things that we were told not to take pictures of. But we can walk some areas and I can show you the incredible hydrangea hedge that's pretty famous online, and it looks so similar to mine at home. It was just nice seeing another structure like that in someone's garden. So let's go take a walk. And of course, just like walking back through the garden past this hydrangea hedge, it calls my name every time. I tend to like striking single specimens that are long rows, kind of like my incredible hydrangea hedge. But I really like this intermix planting here. It's also really beautiful too. So maybe one day when I have more property, I can do something similar. But it's so beautiful and everything's just in perfect bloom right now. It's starting to fade a little bit, so maybe like a week or so ago may have been a little more brighter white, especially for these white colored hydrangeas. But the pops of pink, kind of maroon red from these, probably Invincible Spirit or Invincible or Incredible Blush, is really, really striking and nice. Now, what's really interesting about this location is I'm like, how are y'all growing Macrophyllas and such great conditions here? And apparently it's a protection from the lake, but the blooms are incredible and they're kind of all over the place. Some of them are blue, some of them are pink, so there might be some treatment going on. But the mountain hydrangeas, I am definitely going to get more mountain hydrangeas in my life. Take a look at these right here. Isn't that incredible? It's so full of bloom. So we're going to walk through some more of these hydrangeas because there's a lot back there. Look at all that color. Check out all of these. We've got some cross of some Macrophyllas, some more of the serrata or the mountain hydrangeas. So one thing Proven Winners is doing here recently, because Macrophyllas are so difficult to like rebloom or continuously bloom and to improve their bud hardiness, is they are hybridizing some serrata blood, so to speak, some genetics into the Macrophyllas. What that is doing is making their buds hardier so they can survive the colder zones without killing off those last year's growth of the old buds, but also improves the rebloom for new blooms throughout the season. So we've got some really beautiful specimens here. Some of the things are labeled, some of them are not. We're not going to go digging through the labels, but look, check out all of the colors on this hydrangea right here. Like, look at this. This is massive, and I had never seen mountain hydrangeas like this. I mean, this is huge. It's easily got to be 10 to 12 to 15 foot wide almost, with all of this beautiful different colors and layering of lace cap blooms. It's just really, really gorgeous. And the plantings around here are really nice. Like I said, mostly all shrubs. There's like some iris over there, but pretty much all shrub plantings from Proven Winners Color Choice Shrubs. Also loving this arborvitae hedge here. I'm not sure of the variety of these, but the trunks on them are really nice. So they have really nice structure, and you can see through the canopy just a little bit, which is really cool. This right here is a beautiful shot. I'm actually going to go get my drone and take some drone footage through this area. We were gathered here yesterday taking some photos, and I actually posted a photo of Instagram of me in front of this hydrangea right here. But you can see how many buds these have on them and how well they're blooming here in Michigan. So really incredible. And there's a gold dust Aucuba. Or if it's not a gold dust, it's a very similar variety to gold dust. Also a really beautiful shrub. And they're not supposed to be hardy here, so it may die back to the ground in winter, but it's coming back really good here. So I think these originally rated zone 7. It's another one over there. There's some really beautiful Japanese maples too, of all different colors and types in this location. Check out this topiary, trimmed to a wreath form. All the hydrangeas you can imagine. So you can imagine this is like my paradise right now, because there are some really interesting ones in here that are being trialed, that have not been released, may never be released if they don't perform well, but they're just different and it's interesting to see them. Like right here, we've randomly got some blueberries in the mix. So these have tiny little blueberries on them, not quite fully developed yet. As you can tell, the irrigation behind me here is going on early this morning. I'd be interested to know where they pull their water from. If they pull it from the river here, which would seem to be like the thing to do, or if they have a well. It's just really interesting right here living right here next to the water, how to irrigate all of these plants. And I took some overhead views of this space and it's really beautiful. There's some more mountain hydrangeas down here, and I think this one is a new one to the market and it's called Lovable. I believe that's what they told us yesterday, and it's really, really pretty. But I think it's already been announced, so there's not any issues with it. But look at all the buds on these. So it appears a little behind the other mountain hydrangeas. But it's Tough Stuff Lovable, I think is what they found on the tag yesterday. But really, really gorgeous, all of these buds. So this is one I'm going to look for to add to my garden. Now they've had some storms here the past few days, and these probably get a little more shade. Mine also are on the north side of the house, so they're a little more floppy. The staking I did this year did a really incredible job of keeping these upright, but the blooms have just gotten so big that they're falling over from the pretty severe storm we had. I think it was a Monday night, but it's still a really gorgeous hedge, and I like how it turns, so it just keeps your eye flowing further into the garden. It's a really nice feature there. After I close here, I'm going to show you some footage of like the different mechanisms. There'll be some pictures I've picked selectively along the way to share as well. It's kind of like a slideshow, but there's also some footage of both the propagation section, so they come through and cut the stems off to propagate, and they have a machine that actually scans what's being stuck into the containers or the trays, and it detects the little stem with a little red dot, picks it up with a little machine and sticks it into the tray, which is really cool. And then there's also an area where they manually stick things. So some things can be manually stuck. And when I mean stick, it's just like grabbing the stem, putting it in a rooting hormone, sticking it in the tray if rooting hormone is needed for the specific variety. And it was just really interesting to watch the automation there. But the manual process was also really quick. I'll show you a picture of like a bundle of these. I think they were actually the new Let's Dance Can Do hydrangeas that could be picked, you know, within the past 3 days. They keep them refrigerated. It's possible they could have been cut the same day, but it's just like a little roll of money of all these little future hydrangeas. But they take the rubber band off of them and manually stick them, and it's just a really cool thing to watch. And then like in 4 to 8 weeks, those things are ready to be potted into bigger liners and sold to growers all across the country to grow into 1 gallons or 3 gallons for you at the garden center. So thanks for following along with me on this wonderful trip here. It's really been an experience of a lifetime. And remember, in a world full of hate, be a light. Take care, everyone. Bye.